I'm Eddie Dressler, and I work for Centriq Training. And I wanted to talk to you today briefly about SQL Server backup and restores. Those of you who've had my class know that I urge the simple recovery model whenever possible. You also know that Microsoft urges the opposite of that, the full recovery model, including transaction log backups and differential backups and even file group level backups, even striped across many different backup files, right? What I wanted to talk about in this video is maybe a backup and recovery model that fell right in between those extreme ends. So recently I had a client that had this particular environment. I want to point these things out. So we had a 12 gig mission critical database. The client's most important piece was that the restore happened in a simple, quick, easy fashion if one was needed. 24-hour data loss was okay for this particular client. We only had about 60 gigs worth of space for retention of old backups. And this particular database grew relatively small percentage of its total size every day. So the simple recovery model, just not appropriate here, mainly because we ran out of retention space, right? The restore happened simply and easily. That was great. That met the client's needs. But really we could only hold about, 3 or 4 days at tops before we full up. Just not enough history. Microsoft's over-the-top model, where we would switch to the full recovery model, do transaction log backups every 15 minutes, do differentials every day, and then do completes every week, really simply did not handle the simple restore requirement of this particular client. It was great for retention, but just not appropriate. So what we did was we settled on something in the middle. We stayed on the simple recovery model, and we ran a weekly backup. So we ran a complete weekly backup of the 12 gig database. And then nightly, what we did was we ran differentials. No transaction logs, just differentials. Because the transaction growth per day was really only a couple of hundred megs, those differentials were very, very small. And what this allowed us to do is always have a simple restoration. It was always a two-step restore. It was always restore the complete and then restore the most recent differential. So we also had the benefit of being able to retain completes for much, much longer. Instead of 3 or 4 or 5 days, now we could go 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. If you've got an environment where you have a relatively large database and relatively little amount of information going into it daily, but it's mission critical, consider this as a potential solution. Thanks for watching.